Hey y'all, it's Hope at Crafty Hope and welcome to another one of my assemblage art videos. This was one of my projects I did for the 100-day project, and I'm just not getting to, well, I'm getting to a bunch of them, but we'll talk about that maybe in a minute. Let me tell you what I've got first. That Hello Love picture thing, it's just a little art decor thing that I found at the Dollar Tree, and that pops right out, and so I knew I could alter it in the frame and do something kind of awesome. Now it is super cute, and you could leave it as is, but I decided to to alter it. So I'm trying to figure out which way I took it out that it fits back, because I had traced around those edges. So I'm marking what the top is so I can put it back in the right way. And I marked the edges because what I'm going to do is take this box I got of letters and numbers and symbols and all kinds of stuff. I got that at Goodwill. It's those letters that you put, what are those? They're the letterboard things that become really popular that have the little bumps in it, and you push the letters in and make a sign. And some of them are really cute, but I found this whole box of great letters and stuff for like, I don't even remember, $2.99, $3.99 at Goodwill, and thought, ooh, I can paint those. So yeah, they're gonna go in the assemblage art. So the first thing I gotta do to glue them down is pop off the little things in the back. So y'all saw I just used my heavy duty pliers, and y'all, I went through, you'll see the little stack I've got there on the right of ones that I just popped off. And now I am using my E6000. This is the black. If you've watched some of my other videos where I've used this, I'm going to tell you I don't like the black as much as I like the regular E6000. The black is gooier. It's stringier. It doesn't, yeah, it's just not my preference. So, I'm only using it because I know that I'm going to paint this black and I want to go ahead and use up all of this tube. I hate to waste things. That's why I'm saving these items from the landfill. So I'm gluing in these letters. I started with some of the larger ones you can see, and now I am filling in with some of the smaller ones. And in some cases, I'm going to try to make sure, I think here in a second, I'm going to take like that H and make sure I fill in that space in the F. And I think I'm going to take an O there and put it in that space where the case, so just kind of fill this in little by little, and then get this. And you can see I avoided the edges so that would all fit into the frame nicely again. And I'm going to double check this. Oops, I tried to put it in backwards and it worked. Yay! So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black gesso, and first I'm wiping off some of those strings that are on there from that black E6000, and I'm gonna paint this whole thing black. Now y'all, I painted this thing black several times. It took several coats to get it where I wanted it. You might even see it in a minute. I even tried to, once it's all black, I thought I was going to use some primary colors. You can see it off there on the right where I had put some primary colors on it. I don't like that. We're going to change it. Now I'm going to paint it black here off camera and come back. But I'm going to use that gesso again and paint this pink frame. Now this frame has got kind of a slick texture. Can you see how the gesso's beading a little? I'll end up going over it also a couple times to make sure that gesso completely covers the frame. So yeah, super easy. I don't know why. Yeah, it really beaded on some of those areas. But that's what's great about gesso, is it does a fabulous job of covering things up. That's kind of what it is intended for. So you can see I can't painted all of that, and now I have these Prima Marketing rust pastes. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen these before, but they come in 3 colors, and they all have like a different kind of coarseness. So I'm starting with the dark brown one, and it is the most coarse of them, and mine was getting a little gloopy, so I'm stirring it up, making sure that paintbrush is loaded up, and I think that was actually a dry paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint it all over these letters. I'm trying to get these letters look like they were metal and have rusted. Now it's you can tell that it's not really rust in the end, but it definitely gives that neat rust effect. So I don't think I'm going to make you sit and watch me paint all of these with the dark brown, because I'm going to come back in with the next color, which is it's actually an orangey rust color, and it's a little bit finer in its like textury paste of it. And so I'm going to and I'm not going to try to cover everything like I did with that darker brown. I'm just going to get little bits and pieces and let it kind of clump in some areas. And it's got the most color. Well, I can't say the most color, but it's definitely, the color makes you think of rust a little bit more. But it's going to be a little too much, and I'll end up pushing it back here in a little bit. So again, I'm using a dry brush and just kind of going over this in some areas to get that rusty color on there. And then I'll go to the final paste jar that comes in this kit, which is a yellow. So you see, I went all over it, but it's not all orange. I left some of the brown and the black to poke through. And so I'm going to use the yellow one, which is the finest of them as far as like grit and paste and texture. And I'm going to really sparingly put that on here, because when you look at rust, you don't see big splotches of orange. It's tiny little bits of orange. So there's some other people, if you can find videos that use this rust paste a bit more effectively than I have, but I'm playing with it and trying to learn from it. And just kind of, like I said, I just kind of wanted the texture of that. All right, so that is all on there. I decided, I think that my orange was a little too orange, so I'm going to come back with that dark brown again. I think this is another dry brush, and I'm going to just go over some of those areas where the orange and the yellow were a bit too much. At least I thought I was going to. Oh, no, I actually decided I didn't want to add any more of the texture. I just needed the brown. So I grabbed just a brown acrylic paint. I don't even know what that is. And I'm going to go over that some. Just like I said, pushing back some of that orange. And then, I can't remember what I do, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, I don't even know if it was one of my early parts of the 100-day project, which was to do assemblages, but I get this done with the letters and all the texture and everything, and I couldn't figure out a focal for it, and it has sat and sat and sat till almost the end of the 100-day project, and when I finally decided that I wanted to get a focal for it and finish up some of my assemblages. So it just got finished here at the end of May for the 100-day project. All right, so I decided I also wanted to texturize that frame a little bit. So I've got some clear Crackle Paste. This is also from Prima Marketing, and I'm using a silicone brush there to spread it around, and I'm letting it kind of be different textures on there and not consistently one texture, because that alters the depth of the crackle and the size of the crackle, and I wanted it to have a little dimension to it. Now, I will say that I let some of my stuff go bad so easily. I've had this Crackle Paste for a little while, and I don't know if it's the nature of this Crackle Paste or because I've had it for so long, but when it dried in some of the thicker spots, it has little like white bumps in it. And I didn't really I don't mind it, because this needed to look like it was aged. But if that's something you're concerned about, maybe, be a little more careful with how you put yours on than I was. Because I think I was scraping some of the old stuff off the sides. You can see there. But like I said, to me, it doesn't really matter, because it gives it more kind of an age feel to it. So I'm going to get this slathered all on here on all the sides and then leave it to dry, because all crackles do better if you let them air dry. Now that it's dry, I'm coming in with a metallic paint. Oh, y'all, let me see if I can find that paint. It is Modern Master Gold Paint. I don't know where I got it. If I can find a link to it, I'll put it there, but it's just a gold acrylic paint, and you can see I'm kind of just spreading it on and wiping it off. I think I used a baby wipe there, and I'm trying not to get it too wet. I like that the baby wipe helps push it through as well as wipe it off, but it's also really wetting up my crackle, and I don't want it to be too wet and scrape off or anything like that. So you can see I'm coming back with a little bit of a dry brush there and just kind of working it in, because I want that gold in the crackle so that those, because it is clear crackle and it's not going to show up quite as well. So it's a bit of a playing here. It ends up working in the end, but it's, yeah, see me drying it because it had gotten so wet. And so I kind of did that over the whole thing. Worked the worked the paint in, moved it around. And then here I'm putting that back in the frame. And this is where I left it, y'all. I decided I needed a little bit of that gold on some of my letters just to have some consistency in there. Something got in my letters there. And I did use numbers in here as well as the letters. And some of these things I was trying not to make anything look like it's spelled out anything, but I see words that are connected and all of that. I did make sure I had every single letter of the alphabet in there, but not every number, because I'm calling this alphabet soup. And so, yeah. All right, so that's why I left it for like weeks, because I didn't know what to use as a focal. And then one day I was like, I've got to finish up some of these assemblages, and decided to look in some of my vintage yearbooks that I have. And I have this one that is from an all-girls college in Mississippi, and I found this picture with a typewriter in it. And so I think it's either the newspaper or the yearbook staff, and they're all situated in front of this typewriter. And so I am tearing down the photo a little bit because I want the frayed edges. I have a little trouble with this one. It was giving me fits on those side edges. It's just, I'm not good at tearing, y'all. It's just not my forte. So I'm doing the best I can to get it. And y'all, my cat, I can see her in the other room trying to eat a cardboard box. I'm gonna have to go get her in a second. She knows I'm engaged in something, and she's like, I'm gonna be bad while Mama's recording. I'm trying to ignore her. All right, so then I'm gonna work with figuring out where my placement's gonna be, and I decide on this lower right corner. And when I use photos, first I wanted to distress the edges a little bit. Since those are torn, I want them to show up, so I'm using some Rusty Hinge Distress Oxide, just going around the edges and using my fingers to blend it in a little bit. And then when I use thin papers or pictures like this, I like to bulk them up a little, so I'm using the back of some kind of notepad, like the back of a watercolor notepad or something like that, or a legal pad. And I just kind of marked about what the size of the picture was. I'm cutting it down, and I'm going to back my picture with this. So I think I'm just going to pull out some matte gel medium to glue it down. Yup. And I think I'm going to weigh it down and let it dry. I think. We'll see. Y'all, it's been crazy few months. I had just, as soon as I was done with the 100-day project, index card a day. As soon as I was done with the 100-day project, ICAD started. And so I've just been going. And, with no end in sight. So yeah, I glued that down, weighed it down, and then I'm going to come back in with just some foam tape and put that on the back. I have found that the foam tape doesn't always hold my projects great, because this is just cheap foam tape. It's not some of the really good stuff. I may come back with some E6000 and actually glue that between the letters and the foam tape, just to make sure it holds a little bit better, because I think it's going to stick fine on that cardboard. And I'm going to stick that in there, and we're going to call this alphabet soup done. If y'all have any questions about my process or materials, or just what any of these things I've said are, let me know. If you like this, give me a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. And thank you so much for coming by and watching. It means the world. Thanks, y'all. Bye.